Those of you who are on the outside, please join us inside as we get ready to begin this evening's proceedings. Let me say good evening to the people who are listening on ZIZ Radio, to the listeners on Freedom FM, to those who have logged on to watch us opm.com and viewing this live on YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. You're going to be able to send us your emails later on to talkforprogress@gmail.com, and I'll give out the text message number a bit later as well this evening, so that those of you at home can feel free to send us your messages and interact with us this evening during Conversations for Progress. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Glenville Mills to come and invoke the Spirit. We want to get off on the right foot this morning and invite the presence of the Lord with us. Mr. Mills? Could we all please stand, and after we're through, we'll remain standing. We'll sing the national anthem together.
Let us pray. A wonderful Savior is Jesus, my Lord. He taketh my burdens away. He holdeth me up, and I shall not be moved. He giveth me strength as my day. Father, our God, firstly, we want to thank you for spared lives. God, nothing good that we have done, but because of your mercy, you have kept us alive. God, we bring tonight's proceeding before you. We pray, God, for receptive heart. God, that whatever would be said and done here would be done to your honor and to your glory. God, we bring the government before you. We pray, God, for continuous direction, continuous leadership. We pray for our Prime Minister in a special way. We pray for strength. We pray for courage. We pray, God, that you will give him a heart like thine. And God, even tonight, I pray for the Labour representative in Dr. Narjan Wilson. God, I pray you'll encourage him, you'll motivate him, and you'll give him fresh energy, oh God, to overcome. God, I pray for all here tonight. Let everything run to heaven's honor and glory in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you so much, and allow me to wish everyone a happy Independence Week. Happy Independence when it rolls around on the weekend. 31 years, very admirable and honorable milestone to have reached in the history of this very rich country. We're now looking at a country on the move and celebrating our progress. And I'm telling you, St. Kitts and Nevis is indeed a progressive country. I am privileged and honored to be here with you and sharing in this momentous time. This evening, I would like to let you know what we're doing and what we're going to be tackling this evening. Of course, those individuals with me at the head table are no strangers at all to our viewers and to you here in the audience this evening. We have with us the Honorable Minister of Information, Education, Agriculture, the Honorable Nigel Carty. And of course, we have with us our very own hard-working Commissioner of Police, Dr. C.G. Walwyn, will be joined, as always, this evening by our Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas. Allow me as well to acknowledge the as I was about to say Antigua Labour Party, you know, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party candidate for the area, Dr. Narjan Williams, of course, Wilson. We are here as well with our very Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, of course, Dr. Earl Assay Martin. We had the privilege of being with him and the amazing people in Number One. And now we're here with you out here in the town of Sandy Point. And we're going to get into a very interesting discussion. We have the Commissioner of Police, who of course is our specialist on national security issues. He's going to talk about, again, policing from a community perspective, telling us how we can all make for a safer community and how we can get involved and be active, work along with the police. We had a really good discussion about that in St. Peter's a few weeks ago. And of course, our Minister of Agriculture and Education is here. He's acting in those two capacities this evening to tell us about advancements in education, agriculture, feeding a nation. So imperative that we are able to feed ourselves. And one of the other things that we want to talk about here this evening is Sandy Point and where we're going to take Sandy Point into the future in respect of tourism, developing on the product that you have here, the great resources and the amazing people, and how we can make the best of it. So what I'm going to do at this point is turn the microphone, first of all, over to the Commissioner of Police, Dr. C.G. Walwyn, and have him give a few remarks. He'll be followed by the Minister of Agriculture and Education, Senator Nigel Carty.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's indeed an honor for me to be here this evening in the town of Sandy Point to speak to you about crime and the progresses that we have made within the last 3 months here in St. Kitts and Nevis. About 3 years ago, there was an incident that happened in this particular school. And as a result of what we saw happening here, we put things in place around the Federation because our main goal was to protect the children and the staff that goes to this school and ensure that everybody that comes here was safe. We put in place an officer who is in school here during the school season here in Inverchilds to make sure that your children are safe, your children have a safe environment. We moved the program all the way over to Kayon, where we also have an officer in that school to ensure that the students there are also safe. We know that when we send our children to school, we expect them to come home. And on our administration in the police force, we want to ensure that your children do go home and that the staff, the faculty, they also go home safe. So we put in place these programs. But one of the programs that we are putting in place here, starting on Monday, is going to be the TAPS program. It's Teens and Police Service Academy, which is the program that the present government has invested in to ensure that all children within the Federation can go to school, enjoy school, and at the end of a school day, they can be safe with the tools that we are giving them. We started a program last year called MAGIC, which means mentoring, advising, guiding, and instructing children. This program gives children alternatives to guns, gangs, drugs, and violence. As a result of the program being implemented in the primary schools across the Federation, we were able to graduate 374 children from the program. Why am I saying this? This government cares about the children of the Federation, and they have no problem investing in the safety and security of the children because the children are our future. As a result of this, we have the TAPS program, which will be implemented starting Monday, and that program will bridge the gap between our children and the police. Too many of our children, especially our young men, are falling by the wayside. Too many of our children are ending up in jail. And too many of our children seem to think that they have no future. Well, they do have a future, and these programs are designed to help them to see that there is a future. We just started another program called Law Enforcement Explorers, and to my surprise, we started this on Saturday. And I was surprised that 20 young men, one was age 11, the rest were 13 through 16, and they showed up for this program. This is another way of us reaching our young men. The crime within our schools over the last 3 years has gone down to almost zero. As a matter of fact, we have some we are having some researchers from CARICOM who are going to be coming to St. Kitts over the next week or two, and they're going to be speaking with the police and with the children because they want to see how we achieved what we have achieved. We cannot do anything in law enforcement without the support of the community. We're asking you, please, these are your children, these are our children. They are the future of this federation. When they are wrong, please tell them they are wrong. Please don't encourage them in wrong. We have young men right now who are incarcerated. Some of them have parents or family members in the United States or in England or in Canada. And as a result of the crimes that they may have committed, they might not be able to travel. So the world that's out there for them, they may not have a chance to experience scholarships to go to other countries, visas to go to other countries, to better themselves. They might not be able to. So we want to make sure that we approach our children from this point of view, trying to bridge the gap between them and us, to give them alternatives to gangs, guns, drugs, and violence that they too. Another thing I wanted to talk about, if I may, sir, is on community policing. The communities around the Federation belongs to you, the people of the Federation. Our police force is willing to assist you in setting up neighborhood watches. We have an inspector who specializes in this program, and all you have to do is to call my office and ask to speak to Inspector David, and Inspector David will be happy to meet with you to help you set up a neighborhood watch program. We also have the Crime Stoppers program, which is based in Canada, and we did that for a reason. Something out of Canada. If you see something and you want to say something, please call 1-800-8477. 1-800-8477. When you call that number, no one knows who you are. There's a screen that pops up on the computer and it shows 869. That's all it shows. It does not show the rest of your phone number, so nobody knows who you are. They will never ask you your name, so you don't have to worry about them knowing who you are, and you don't have to worry about your cousin down that line or Digicel recognizing your number. When you call 1-800-8477, nobody knows who you are, nobody knows you're calling. Give them the information, and they will get it to me, and we will follow up on it. So that is one of the things that I wanted to mention tonight, Crime Stoppers. Because of Crime Stoppers and because of your involvement with Crime Stoppers, we have been able to get new leads in investigations. As I mentioned the last time we spoke about this, we were able to shut down a burglary ring in the Half Moon area. We have the people still in prison right now for this. It also helped us with It also helped us to identify a person who was going to rape someone. And if it weren't for this information, that person could have went on and done something else. So we appreciate you calling Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 because Crime Stoppers works within the Federation. We also have a police website, and some of you may not be aware of it. It's police.gov.kn, police.gov.kn. And for those of us who are colloquial, sknpolice.com. sknpolice.com. On this website, we have suggestions on how to keep yourself safe. For instance, how to burglar-proof your house. We know that some people here in the Federation like to shop at other people's property. You know, you go to work and they go shopping in your house. Well, we have ways that we can prevent this, and you can go to the police website, sknpolice.com, and click on the little brochure. We have a bunch of brochures up there that'll tell you how to protect your property, how to protect yourself, how to protect your children. These are things that you have access to, but you have to go to the website to get it. Now, I can be contacted at my phone number, 662-2145, 662-2145. I can also be contacted on the email at cgwalwyn, W-A-L-W-Y-N, cgwalwyn@gmail.com, and I can also be contacted on Twitter. As you can see, we are into social media in the police force. My Twitter account is Dr. Walwyn. That's it, Dr. Walwyn. And you can tweet me all day long. Again, I want to thank you for inviting the police force here tonight. We are very transparent. We will answer all of your questions and any questions you ask if we have the answers. Tonight is a good night, and I want you to ask me anything. And if you have issues in your community, please bring it out now, or you can meet me afterwards and we can work on it. But the police force is here for you. We have officers in your neighborhood who are trained. We do have a few challenges, but those are going to be worked out. And we're going to make sure that your community stays viable. One last thing, please, the young men in this community, again, your future. Please think about your future before you do certain things. It's okay to be hot-headed and try to react. But if you're going to be hot-headed and react, think about the consequences. Ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth me sitting at 1840 for the rest of my life? Is it worth me taking somebody's life when I could have just walked away? Is it worth me breaking into my neighbor's house when they work so hard and all they have is what they have? Think about it, because this is your community, and nobody but you can make a difference in your community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Walwyn. And I am a mobile junkie. I'm always on my phone. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. But I went and I pulled up sknpolice.com, and they actually have a mobile site as well. So for those of you with your cell phones, even when you're on the road, you see something or you need some tips or whatever the case is, not when you're driving, of course, but it's right there at your fingertips. I saw a form for making a report if there's a crime you've observed. I counted 28 brochures available. Could be more, I don't know, I just counted through quickly, but I counted 28 brochures available for you to download and read and get advice from the police. The crime tips number is also on the site. So I think they've done a commendable job, the police force, in making the force accessible and user-friendly and taking full advantage of technology. That also speaks to the fact that they know there are a lot of people out there who are IT savvy, and that we all have our cell phones now, and this is an instant means of communication, an instant way of getting the help we need. So a great job to Dr. Walwyn and the police force. You've been doing incredibly well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this point, I would like to invite some remarks from the Honorable Senator Nigel Carty, who is the person in charge of the country's agriculture and of course, our education system. A lot of new initiatives on the move in St. Kitts and Nevis in respect of encouraging our young people to do as much as possible and to be the most that they can be. The latest of these initiatives, the Visionary Reach program, I think it's great, and I'm sure that other countries are going to begin to adopt this very soon. So without any more to say on my part, let me invite Senator Carty to share with us what he's doing in agriculture and education.
Thank you very much, Ebony. Good evening to you, and good evening to all of the persons here gathered this evening. I want to, in particular, recognize with me at the head table Dr. Siji Baldwin, Commissioner of Police, in fact, Chief of Police for St. Kitts-Nevis. I wish to recognize Dr. the Honorable Earl Assi Martin, our Deputy Prime Minister. I want to recognize other members of Cabinet who are here, and I recognize Dr. Nigel Wilson, Dr. Vance Gilbert, and Mr. Conway Maynard, the Labour Party's candidates for number 5, number 7, and number 3, respectively, to senior civil servants who are here, and members of the Sandy Point community and other communities around St. Kitts-Nevis. And good evening to all of those of you who are listening by radio and the internet. I'm going to have to ask Ebony to sort of keep a track of time for me because I have so much to say. I don't know if I can stay within the confines of the time that I've been given, but I just want to share a few thoughts with you on both education and agriculture. And I think I would start by making some comments about education because I believe that the advancements we have made over the last 31 years as an independent nation are largely due to the advancements we have made in education. I believe that there's a one-to-one correlation between the advancements we've made in all aspects of our economy, of our social development, of our economic development, and what we have been able to achieve through education. 31 years ago, I believe we were focusing on getting our young people to stay in school and getting a lot of our young people from what we used to call all-age school into secondary schools. But today I believe the focus is really on post-secondary education. We recognize that as a developing country, for us to continue with our development pace, it is requisite that we get more and more of our young people off to receive higher levels of training. A lot of people may not fully appreciate the value of education. Yes, they themselves may be educated, but they may not understand the value of education to themselves and to the wider community. But I believe that as we look for leadership in government and leadership in the private sector, it's important for us to ensure that we have educated leadership. And when I speak of that, one of the things that come to mind first is, of course, we have a chief of police who is a PhD qualified person, and I believe that is the kind of thing we would want to look for in persons in those kinds of positions going forward, because these kinds of positions require a depth of skill and understanding of a wide range of subject matters. And so I believe that education has to be seen as being critically important to our overall advancement as a country. And I believe as well that one of the reasons for our rapid advancement over the last 18 years since this Labour Party has been able to run the affairs of the country is the open, transparent modus operandi of the government. When the Labour Party got into government and started our face-to-face, there was nothing like it, certainly within the region. And when our Prime Minister began to have his monthly press conference, there was nothing like that within the region, and certainly nothing like that had been here before. And these days we have our Prime Minister on Ask the PM and so on. Those things, I believe, have been critically important and ought not to be overlooked as we seek to make an assessment of why we have been able to make the progress that we have made. Quickly to education, I want to focus a little bit on the REACH program. REACH really means recognizing everyone's ability to climb higher. And this program was really conceived as part of getting more of our young people to enroll in post-secondary education. As I said before, the emphasis 31 years ago was about getting our young people to go into high school and to stay in high school and to sit for qualification that would earn them positions in the private and public sectors. Today, our focus is about getting more of our young people to move into post-secondary education. We cannot continue our development at the rate we have been going and to improve upon it if we do not achieve a higher level of enrollment of our young people in post-secondary education. So the idea of the REACH program was to provide a catalyst for persons to leave secondary school and go into the CFB College in St. Kitts, or AVEC, which is the Advanced Vocational Education Center here in St. Kitts, or the Nevis Sixth Form College. And why has this been important? We have recognized that many young people leaving high school make a decision to either go into the world of work or to move on to post-secondary education. We found that it was important to reduce the kinds of challenges that young people had as they sought to make those kinds of important decisions. One of them was the fact that the mother, the parent, the home might not have been in a position to give the requisite support to give the student the comfort of moving into the CFBC or the Nevis Sixth Form College. What we have done with the REACH is to remove that hurdle, thereby providing the requisite funds to support the child throughout his or her 2 years at the CFBC or the Sixth Form College or at AVEC. As I spoke with the president of the college earlier today, I was notified that we have had an increase in enrollment at the CFB College by as much as 35%. And that speaks, I believe, to the quick success that we've had. And this translates really into about 100, 150 additional persons enrolling at the CFB College in the Arts and Sciences Division, where they are doing science subjects and so forth. In fact, one of the components of the REACH program seeks to incentivize students' enrollment in sciences, languages, and mathematics. Again, these have been identified by the Human Resource Department and the Ministry of Education as being critically important to our increased rate of development. We not only need teachers and doctors and lawyers and so on, but we need researchers who would assist us in uncovering the challenges or meeting the challenges that we have in the area of agriculture, for example. So we need researchers in every important aspect of our economic development. And so we have provided an incentive of $1,000 additional to the $2,500 for persons to become enrolled in these particular subject areas. And again, a component of the program seeks to get our young people to recognize that it is no longer satisfactory for you to pass 5 and 6 subjects. That is good for a start. 5 years, 15 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when an individual left school with 5 O-levels, that was considered to be extraordinary. Today, as the marketplace is becoming more and more competitive, and as there is a greater demand on an improved level of skill and education of our young people, we have to now ask young people to aspire to getting 8 subjects as a minimum. And so we have built into the REACH program a component that gives you $250 extra on top of all of that, so that you, as young people, may strive for higher levels of success in education. That is the REACH program. We have seen success already, and I was informed that we have seen a 2-fold increase in the levels of enrollment in sciences and languages, which we deem to be so critically important, and mathematics. I now want to say a few words on the one-to-one laptop project, which is a project which we started 5 years ago to really put the important tool, the computer, into the hands of our students and teachers. It's dropped. I need it though, so I'll have to take it up. So the one-to-one laptop project is, again, not just a standalone initiative, but it's really part of one of the important components of education, which seeks to make our learners more independent, more self-directed with respect to their education. And we have seen, I can't say that all of the improvements that we've seen over the last 5 years in terms of the improvement in mathematics. At 6 exams over the last 3 to 4 years, we have seen St. Kitts-Nevis ahead of the pack within the entire region. Areas which hitherto have been problem areas for young people. But we have seen an increase in the success rates in those particular subject areas, and we've seen our young people passing an increasing number of subjects at the CXC O-level level. And so we are very mindful of the fact that some of these improvements have come as a result of our having given to students the wherewithal, the tools to assist and direct their own learning. And so this is a program which continues, and in the next month or so, we will continue that program with the distribution of laptops to our students and teachers in secondary schools. Another important aspect of the work of the Education Department at this time really is our TVET program. With all of the development taking place in St. Kitts-Nevis, just yesterday we participated in the groundbreaking ceremony for a brand new, I think it's a 5-star hotel at Heldon's Estate in the St. Paul's Newton Ground area. I want to pause at this time and have us stand and recognize our Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Welling Douglas. We want to thank the Prime Minister so much for joining us this evening, and he too will share his own thoughts on the progress that is taking place in St. Kitts-Nevis at this time. So I was on the point of talking about TVET, Technical and Vocational Education and Training, and with all of the development that we see happening around us, as we have an expansion in the hotel and tourism sector, as we seek to advance our development in agriculture, the general construction sector, etc. What is really required is the development of a cadre of competent persons in specific areas of our development. We need building contractors, tradesmen who are familiar with the modern techniques of construction and the use of the modern materials for the enhancement of the products that we are seeing emerging in the market. We also need persons who are qualified at the very highest level in terms of management in the hotel and tourism sector, for example. Our young people and nationals of St. Kitts-Nevis generally must not just be makers of the bed and cleaners of the room and bathrooms and servers in the kitchens, but they must occupy the very highest positions in these institutions. So when we speak of Cottition Hill and the transformation that it will bring to the people of St. Kitts-Nevis, we are not speaking only of the low-level positions which our people can get, but we're talking about our young people being able to aspire to positions in management of these institutions. And it requires that we begin to orient our people very early towards those kinds of things. So, in short, in relation to TVET, if our people are going to be able to benefit equitably from the development that is taking place around us in every field of endeavor, then we have got to lay a solid foundation for our young people to be able to access those opportunities and to be able to compete, because we're living in an environment in which freedom of movement has been accepted, and we have persons from all over the world visiting our shores in search of opportunities, and the young people must be trained. What we have done, therefore, is that we have improved our learning spaces for be it woodwork, technical drawing, metalwork in all of our secondary schools, and we have provided the requisite tools and equipment to facilitate their proper training, and that is ongoing. We also believe in the creation of centers of excellence. That is to say, we believe that every secondary school must have a range of technical programs for our young people to pursue, but each of these secondary schools must at the same time represent a center of excellence in one of these critical areas. So, for example, the Charles E. Mill School, while it offers training in metalwork and woodwork, etc., it will be a center of excellence in something, maybe technical drawing or maybe woodwork or metalwork, one of them, because we understand that investment in TVET is a critical one, but it's also a very costly one. And so we want to provide each school with the tools and the standards for it to become a center of excellence, even as it offers a wide range of training opportunities in the area of TVET. And we have also given very strong support to the CFBC to expand its programs in a variety of areas. I now want to make a few remarks about our curriculum development. I think that many parents in St. Kitts-Nevis would agree that the time has come for us to relook at our curriculum for our primary schools in particular. And people have questioned the continued relevance of the existing curriculum. We have started a review of the curriculum for our primary schools, and the whole aim is to provide a more relevant course of education for our young people. There's a lot that has happened over the last 15, 20 years, and I think the time has now come for us to look at that. So we are in the midst of the revision of our curriculum documents, and we'll be interfacing with members of the wider community to seek their guidance as to what they believe are some of the relevant areas of knowledge for our young people. Recently, for example, we have completed our Health and Family Life Education program, where we have sought to introduce important concepts. Earlier, we had a discourse that was directed by the Commissioner of Police, and we talk about the crime, and we talk about people being able to make proper decisions as they interface with their colleagues. One of the things we're hoping to do through this new Health and Family Life Education program is to expose people to the likes of the gangs and so forth, the impact of gangs, how you recognize them, and teach them all of those things which maybe 20 years ago we didn't think that we'll be teaching in the classroom. But these are important things for young people to understand. And so these are critically important as part of our thrust forward. With respect to the early childhood sector, our efforts continue to be to give more and more of our early childhood professionals training on the job and also at the CFB College. So last year, for example, for the first time we were able to introduce a full degree program at the CFBC that is being offered in collaboration with the University of the West Indies. And quite a number of persons are registering for that program, which means that we can expect better execution, a better program, a better course of education for our persons, young people between the ages of 3 to 5 years of age. We have also recently started at the CFB College a nursing degree, so that our nurses are going to be degree-trained persons. As we advance, we need for nurses to be degree-trained, degree-qualified. And we have started that program this year in earnest, and we have sought to give scholarship support to all of the persons who will be enrolling. And this, again, would be a degree that is being offered in conjunction with the University of the West Indies. I have said a lot about education, and there's a lot more to be said, but let me move on to agriculture, where I can spend about 5 to 10 minutes, if you would care to indulge me further. And in talking about what we've done in agriculture, since I'm in Sandy Point, I can make reference to the work that we've done to support our farmers, and I can mention specifically SPACS, the Sandy Point Agriculture Cooperative Society. We have been able to identify funding from the SIDF to support the redevelopment of the Sandy Point public market. If you were to pass by the market in recent times, you would see that we have reconstructed the bathrooms. The Sandy Point public market should again become a place where farmers can meet, sell their produce, and conduct business there. And we're seeking to make arrangements to give adequate control of the public market space to the SPACS Cooperative Society. And so we have been moving the requisite papers through the legal department of the government to have that effected. We have, over the last 3 to 4 years, and certainly since the close of the sugar industry, engaged in the allocation of adequate amounts of land for our farmers. And we have more than doubled the amount of land that our farmers have had in recent times. For example, the farmers of the SPACS Cooperative Society have been allocated over 100 acres of land at Sugley's estate here in Sandy Point. We have also provided support to these farmers around the country by enrolling PEP workers who are interested in farming to work with these farmers. So, for example, the SPACS farmers have about 20 young persons, PEP workers, working with them to help to build out their farms and to move the production up to the levels that they would wish. We have also thought that as a small country, with the limited amount of lands that we have, we now have to begin to look at technology, new farming technologies. And so we are investing in the building out of greenhouses, and so far we've built about 30 greenhouses for our farmers around the country. What that will do, it will increase the productive capacity of our farms, because you would know that these greenhouses can produce up to five times the amount of produce in the absence of that technology, as you produce in the absence of that technology. And so we expect to see a lot more of the green peppers and tomatoes and so forth, nice vegetables that can meet the standards which are required by our supermarkets and hotels around the country. We have also been able to construct what we call a pack house, but really is a facility for the grading, cleaning, packing of produce. A lot of our farmers over the last many years have been making requests for this kind of facility. The pack house has facilities for the longer-term storage of produce. A farmer produces 500 pounds of tomatoes. He can't get off all at the same time. We have a facility whereby farmers can come to the pack house, deposit his goods. They're stored there in a chill, in a protected environment. They're washed, they're packed, they're cleaned, and then they can be shipped off to supermarkets or the hotels. This is a critically important facility for our farmers. Another important accomplishment is the development of our agro-processing facility. I was very pleased visiting with the Marriott the other day to have seen many of the products that have come through the agro-processing unit at that facility. Many of the farmers in the country would know that they have taken their produce to the agro-processing unit and they have been able to drink the cucumber, the lime, the lemon juice. They have made prunes, dried fruits, and recently we have been able to put on a very important workshop to assist persons in the agro-processing industry in the use of breadfruit for the production of flour and other kinds of products from the breadfruit. And I was very pleased. I got a pack of breadfruit flour myself, and I've made some dumplings, and I don't have to explain to you how that went down with some mackerel. Right? Breadfruit flour, dumpling, and mackerel. You must try that. Right? So that's the direction in which we are going. And these are the kinds of products that will fetch very good prices for our farmers and our agro-processors. So we have just about the full complement of the things that we need to take agriculture to the next level. We have the greenhouse technology, we have improved land distribution, we have the packing house, we have the chill house. And to cap it all off, we are in the throes of the construction of a pesticides and soil analysis lab, because going forward, we're also talking about food security. And when we speak of food security, we also mean food safety. That is, we want to make sure that we don't overuse pesticides. We want to be able to detect when the soil or the environment has pesticides that will inhibit the production of safe foods. And the soil analysis component of that unit will ensure that farmers can apply the right kinds and amounts of fertilizer to the soil to assist in the production of their crops. And that, the construction of that is to start very shortly, and we're hoping that by the end of November, during December, we can have that completed. And in closing, I want to say to you that the farmers have been very grateful for the support that they have gotten in recent times from the government with respect to fertilizer distribution. We were very grateful to have had a donation of a huge cache of fertilizers from the government of Morocco, and the fertilizer has been distributed to our farmers, who've been very grateful. We have been distributing seeds, fencing materials, mulch, and we also have duty-free support for farmers who wish to purchase farming vehicles and materials. And to cap it all off, I want to say to you that I was very pleased recently in sitting with Mr. Jack Hamu, the CEO of the Marriott Hotel. We have, in a sense, agreed on an arrangement with our farmers to supply specific kinds and amounts of produce to that hotel. And so the farmers are very grateful, they are enthused, and I believe that they have seen the transformation in the agricultural sector in St. Kitts-Nevis and are grateful for what the government has been able to do. This, colleagues, is just a tip of the iceberg as to what we've done and are doing and plan to do in education and agriculture in St. Kitts-Nevis. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Senator Nigel Carty, for that very detailed update on two very important sectors, agriculture and education. They, in large part, go hand in hand, and there's so many opportunities for us in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's such a green country with fertile soil, and we have so many people here who are doing exceptionally well. Children are doing remarkably well in school, and the incentives are there to encourage your children to be all they can be. And so we have to be the best parents that we can be as well. Allow me again to just extend a very warm welcome, and I hope you do it with me as well, to the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, our Prime Minister. He's been with us week after week, and we know he has a very, very busy schedule, yet he takes the time out to come and sit with us each week and meet face-to-face with you, the people. And we really appreciate your time, Honorable Prime Minister. He's going to touch a little bit on Sandy Point for us this evening, talking to us about our tourism product and how his government intends to grow that product, not only for the people of Sandy Point, which is very important to do, but for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Prime Minister Denzel Douglas, thank you so much, Dr. Douglas, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ebony. May I recognize, of course, not only the Minister, Honorable Nigel Carty, at the head of this table, but also, of course, the Commissioner of Police, Commissioner C.J. Walwyn, my other colleagues who are in the audience, the Deputy Prime Minister, and other ministers whom I may not recognize, but of course, we do have my colleagues who are candidates with me in the upcoming elections, Dr. Norton Wilson, Congress Maynard, Dr. Vance Gilbert, all who are here. Let us give them a round of applause. And you, of course, the good people in this audience, those of you who are firstly from Sandy Point and those from the other constituencies, let me thank you for being with us in tonight's conversation for progress. So far, ladies and gentlemen, you would have had the conversation firstly from the Commissioner of Police, also immediately before me, the Minister of Education and Agriculture. And tonight's conversation, as you would have heard, we wanted to speak on how our country's forward movement is being impactful, especially in education, agriculture, and national security. And also, I would hope that at the end of the day, you would be better able to appreciate in our conversation what we mean when we speak about destination Sandy Point. Minister Carty has outlined the strides that we are making in education and also the strides that we are making in agriculture, but not only indicating the strides that we are making, but I believe to a large extent Minister Carty has also set the objectives, the goals, as part of the vision in moving our country forward in these two critically important sectors, agriculture and education. Tonight, it is not by coincidence, I'm sure, that we are meeting in Sandy Point at the Charles E. Mills Secondary School, because it is a school that has been named for the man who worked intimately with the Right Excellent Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw to make sure that the doors of our high schools were opened wide. You will remember that before he was able to assist the Labour government in doing so, 98% of Kittitians and Nevisians, the children, did not dare to go anywhere near to the St. Kitts-Nevis Grammar School or the Girls' High School or the Convent High School, as the case may have been. We are reminded tonight that it was Premier Bradshaw at that time and his cabinet colleagues who pushed forward to open the doors, despite the opposition demanding that those doors be closed to the ordinary children in those days. And so it is not coincidence at all that Minister Carty a moment ago outlined what we have achieved in education since that revolution took place in education so many years ago. What really is the situation? I want to just outline and highlight some statistics for us all. Whereas some 46% of Caribbean students passed their CXC mathematics this year, 64% of Kittitians and Nevisian students did. Note that. 46 as against 64. In other words, in mathematics, it appears as if we are performing about 50% above the regional average. And that is a dramatic improvement and is of great significance to us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But as I listened to Minister Carty on my way down on the radio, he was still telling you that there are further incentives that are being provided by the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the SIDF to ensure that there are increasing numbers in mathematics, in language, and also, of course, in sciences. So it tells you that our vision has not been blurred because we are doing well now. The vision is to continue to do well into the future. Also, I believe it is important for us to note that working with our Minister of Technology, the Honorable Glenn Phillip, Minister Carty now oversees a school system in which students in high schools across our federation are able to see, hear, and fully interact with teachers and students and special presenters who are located at other high schools across our federation in real time. They can now benefit from lectures, information, presentations, and special events at other schools that would advance their personal and academic development. And so reference has been made to the EduNet system, which uses the internet to facilitate nationwide educational collaboration. And this is new, it is novel, and I believe it is the only country in the Caribbean where such a system is available to high school students. This again clearly indicates that our future is now being set by what we're doing in the present. And there is no stopping us in terms of our achievements that we insist will be realized in our future. And so a question can be asked, look how far we have come from that very simple step, but phenomenal step that was taken by the Thatcher administration in those early days in the 1970s to throw open the doors of our high schools. And where there were no schools, they were built. And the Charles E. Mills Secondary School, where we are operating from tonight and speaking to our nation and speaking to the world, this is one of the schools that was created in order to facilitate what was then the policy to bring comprehensive education to our people, a comprehensive system that was historically brought to St. Kitts-Nevis by none other than Charles Egbert Mills himself. Let us remember him with our applause. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to emphasize that national security is a number one priority for this government. The entire country, it is aware of how heavily the government has invested in ensuring that our country's police and our army have the training that they need, the regional and international relationships that they need, the equipment that they need, and the leadership that they need to enable them to confront and turn around any negative trend in our country with regard to national security. And this has demanded a tremendous amount of work on the part of the government and a tremendous amount of work on the part of our country's national security forces. Work that has had a most welcome impact on the feel and the atmosphere within our country. With the exception of some specific incidents, ladies and gentlemen, like the incident that took place here in Sandy Point last night, crime has fallen every single year for the past 3 years. And constituency number 5 has been a zone of peace, calm, and responsibility. And I want to commend you, the people of Sandy Point, for that, and to urge you to remain on that very positive and healthy path. This area and others has been doing their part to ensure that crime nationwide has gone down. And it has because community policing has been a priority of this administration and of the leadership of the police force as well. Prevention has been a priority. Enhanced crime scene analysis, that also has been a priority. Intelligence gathering and treatment has been a priority as well. And I would therefore like you to join me in commending the leadership that is of the Police Force Commissioner, C.G. Walwyn, whose presence in our federation has brought positive results as a result of his leadership, and who has come to join us at this particular conversation for progress discussion that we are having tonight. Give him, again, a tremendous round of applause. We wish as well to commend Commander Patrick Wallace of the St. Kitts-Nevis Defense Force, because his has been an extraordinary leadership role that he has played. And I would certainly like to commend him right here as well in Sandy Point for the impact that he, along with Commissioner Walwyn, has had on the quality of life in Sandy Point and in our federation. Ladies and gentlemen, constituency number 5. You now have a truly state-of-the-art facility here at the Poxon Hospital. You are sitting in the auditorium of the Charles E. Mills Secondary School, whose physical infrastructure and whose performance from the students has been one of leadership over the years. The Boaks Project roads, they have been entirely redone. The land has been cleared for the new Sandy Point Police Station, state-of-the-art police station. High Point, Habitat 30 housing project, has received rave reviews throughout the constituency. You have an outstanding community center. More than 150 house lots have been distributed. And the tourism potential of this constituency has become a part of the national consciousness like never before. And so, Destination Sandy Point is becoming alive. More and more yachts have been appearing in this area, and visitors' interest in this area must be capitalized on for the benefit of the people of constituency number 5. The development of the Cleverly Hill Strip, the Black Sand Strip, and the local market will greatly enhance the appeal of and economic vitality in this area. In addition, Sandy Point, having been the Federation's first town, makes it rich with historical sites, sites that can and must be made to generate income for the people of this area. Sandy Point has 3 forts. I remind you, the Brimstone Hill, Charles Fort, and Fort Charles. Fort Charles and Charles Fort, they continue to be hidden diamonds, and we must treat them as such. The time has come to polish them and reveal them to the rest of the world. Brimstone Hill Society, in conjunction with UNESCO, is developing special trails linking the many sugar mills, the estate houses, and other sites of historical significance in constituencies 4 and 5, dramatically enhancing local and visitor interest in this area. Sandy Point will be revitalized. My government has long made clear our determination to ensure that tourism and other development projects will be spread across the nation and not limited to the Bastia Valley and Frigate Bay regions. That is why the Eco Park, under the auspices of the Taiwanese government, is strategically located at the beginning of Sandy Point and at the beginning of Newton Ground as well. One look around the island, it makes clear that we have been steadily and resolutely delivering on this particular pledge of blurring that distinction between rural and urban. We have been steadily transforming the various parts of this country, and Sandy Point is now most assuredly poised to be a part of that transformation. Again, I remind us that Sandy Point's unique history gives it extraordinary potential as a strong and vibrant tourism center. We know that, and you also are aware of that. What we have to do now is make certain that the rest of the world knows that we are in the process of doing. That is what we're in the process of doing, of course, because we are determined to realize the full and phenomenal potential of Destination Sandy Point. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that having been said, we now look forward to your own comments, to your suggestions, to your questions as to how we can realize the great potential that lies within this historic town of Sandy Point. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas. Always a wealth of information to share with us and update us on what his government is doing indeed for us, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, who have elected them to work on our behalf. And I'm sure that Dr. Denzil Douglas will continue to do so along with his colleagues and Dr. Narjan Wilson, who I'm sure is going to join him in cabinet very shortly. Now that I've added that little bit in, I would like to tell you all that the floor is open this evening. Yes, floor is open this evening. And for those of you who are watching and listening on the radio or cuopm.com, you can send your text messages, and I'm pleased to announce we have WhatsApp, because everybody WhatsApps now, so you can send us your messages to 762-3342. You can also email us at talkforprogress@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much to those people who are listening live on ZIZ Radio, Freedom FM, and watching via YouTube on cuopm.com. If you want to know what's going on here and to see the packed hall this evening, you can log on to the website to do so. We have our microphone. I'm seeing the stand. I'm not seeing the mic. Okay, Dr. Wilson has it. So Dr. Wilson, go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have a lot of papers, but I've narrowed them down to 4, so I won't be very long. Let me just say all protocols established. Honorable Prime Minister, I want to welcome you here this evening and to say a special good evening to the rest of the panelists in Dr. C.G. Walwyn and the Honorable Nigel Carty. I also see present with us tonight our Deputy Prime Minister, and I also want to welcome him here to Sandy Point. I know it's a community that he loves very much, and he's frequently in the community. Mr. Prime Minister, I want to say a special thanks to you and to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for being present here in our community this evening. And in the same breath, I would also like to say that I think that this exercise should occur with some frequency, perhaps annually. That would be my recommendation. But I really want to thank the government, because even at a time when the constituency of number 5 does not have a minister seated in the Prime Minister's cabinet the government has not failed to recognize that there is need for development in this constituency. A number of projects have really come to fruition here in our constituency, some of which have been mentioned. And I would like to say that there are a number of projects which are in discussion. And I assure you that when I sit in your cabinet, Mr. Prime Minister, these projects would be expedited. I want to point out to us here in the constituency that we have benefited from a number of housing projects, and we continue to benefit. As a matter of fact, the housing project at High Point, that's the project at Pump Estate just above there in the Ficci area, is the envy of all housing projects or housing developments taking place around the country. Everyone is benefiting, but this particular housing project is the envy of all other housing projects within the Federation. And just to say that I think that we were the third to start, but we will be the first to complete it, Mr. Prime Minister. And going on a promise which was made with respect to the solar panels on the first 100 homes, I trust that we would be the first to receive our solar panels right here in the High Point area, Honorable Prime Minister. The Prime Minister did mention the clearing of the lands for the police station. I want to say it's a concern to some people with respect to the location, but I want to assure you that it's not the building that is going to look after you. It is the deployment of the men and women who would be serving at the police station. So don't you worry. Mr. Prime Minister, our Paxton Medical Facility, of which I am very proud, I worked there for a number of years. State-of-the-art facility, first of its kind in the region, and now the only facility in the entire Eastern Caribbean that has really gone green, and we would want it to be 100% green. As you would note that in the last budget discussion, we were very concerned about renewable energy. And so it is happening right here in Sandy Point. Now, Honorable Prime Minister, it is not just the buildings. I had the opportunity to study in the Republic of Cuba, from where I graduated as a medical doctor. Several persons in this community have also graduated as medical doctors or as engineers or technicians in various areas. I want to say a special congratulations this evening to Dr. Joylette Woodley. Everybody knows her. That's Moses' daughter of Cleverly Hill. She's now a general surgeon, and she has benefited from government's educational program. I want to say special congratulations to Dr. Daryl Warner, who is also a surgeon in the area of orthopedic medicine from Sandy Point. At the time, I too thought about going to specialize, but I had another calling. And so I did not join them. But tonight, I also want to say a very heartfelt and grand congratulations to Mr. or His Excellency Kenneth Douglas, baby son. Now the new ambassador to Cuba. And he's from right here in Sandy Point. Yes. Now, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm saying a lot of congratulations, but I want you to know that we have plans for Paxton, and so we will need our doctors to work in the Paxton Medical Facility. And so I urge you to continue to encourage more and more young persons to go off and specialize. We will share what resources we have in the country with the rest of the Federation, because these have been opportunities granted unto our people. And so I just want the Prime Minister to take note that one of these days we would be quite happy to have our Sandy Pointers work in our facility right here. Just to say, Mr. Prime Minister, the resources would be available. We have 31 medical students currently in Cuba, and I think that number is to be increased by 5 this year. And so you have a good pool of medical doctors from which you can send off persons to specialize. So we want to thank the government for giving everyone in the Federation the opportunity to have their sons, their daughters go off and specialize, not only in Cuba, but also in Taiwan, the University of the West Indies, the University of the UVI, the United States, England, you name it. Kittitions and divisions can be found in almost all of the universities. And so, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for that. I do take note that you did mention that a number of roads have been resurfaced. I can remember several years ago, Honorable Dr. Earl Asim Martin was very instrumental after some lobbying in getting the entire lowway and all secondary roads paved in Sandy Point. Just about 18 months, maybe 2 years ago, again, after some lobbying, he was instrumental in assisting us in paving some of the roads in the Lower Box project area. I understand that those roads were there since in the 70s and nothing has ever been done to them to repair or upgrade them. And so I want to thank the government for coming to our assistance there. You would also note that there has been some development with respect to the reinforcement of the cliffs in the Cleverly Hill area. For some time, the cliffs have been falling in, and a major project, while one was going on in the Godwin Gut area, one was also taking place right here in the Cleverly Hill Sandy Point area. So I once again want to thank the government for coming to the assistance of this community. Honorable Prime Minister, I note that it was mentioned by our Minister of Education that the bathrooms at our public market are under construction. He failed to mention, however, that there has been a new chill which was installed in our public market for the purpose of our farmers to store their foods and to prevent them from spoiling in quick time. So I want to thank the Minister for quickly coming to the aid of our young farmers here in Sandy Point. The market has some distance to go in terms of refurbishment, but I can assure you that we are committed. And like I said, once and when I am seated in the Prime Minister's cabinet, some of these projects, I can assure you, would be expedited. So, our issues in Sandy Point, and I'm sure you will hear much more tonight, but they are issues which are general. They are issues which you can come across in the entire nation. We speak of roads which are needed in some areas. We have had discussions with respect to those in the Crabhill area, in the Farms Housing Project area, in the Romney-Grumman and the Clever Hill Extension area. We speak of the drainage, and we've had discussions. As a matter of fact, I can assure the people of Sandy Point that a lot of these projects are under active discussions, and we are looking for solutions to deal with these issues. And so, I would not go on and on about specific areas, Honorable Prime Minister. But I want to make it clear that here in Sandy Point, I believe that people have recognized who they can turn to when they are in need of assistance. And I must say to you that that assistance which I give, it comes through lobbying, it comes through sponsorship, and sometimes it comes out of my pocket. However, I am committed to the cause. I do it because I love my community. And so, Honorable Prime Minister, I want to say that I have full confidence that I will be seated on your right hand. But I don't want you to wait until I get there. This process must be continuous. I want you to work on the projects for me until I get there. Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the contribution. And it's easy to see why Dr. Wilson and the springtime candidates are on board, and the Prime Minister is throwing his full support behind them along with the rest of the team. Because in or out of government, they are showing you what true representation is and working for you, fighting for you, unlike some others who just collect a paycheck. And we've heard about them on several occasions, and we can't see what it is they're doing because they're too busy walking out to Parliament. They're too busy walking out. So we have the microphone is there. If you wish to come up and make a comment, this is what it's here for you. And I do have a whole lot of text messages which have begun to come in already. One of them is directed at Minister Carty. The individual is commending Minister Carty and government on the REACH program. And they're asking, what about those of us who are just starting CFBC, or we're over in Nevis? What is coming for us? What about those of us who have graduated from school some time ago? Are there any initiatives we can look forward that will help us to pursue further education as well?
You want me to respond to that?
If you would like to.
Okay. Well, I think I should make it clear that the REACH program also caters to and supports persons who are leaving school, secondary school, or CFBC, or Nevis Some College, or AVEC, who are going into the world of work and who would need some support in terms of their reorientation and preparation for the world of work. So, for example, if you've left school at any level, CXC, O-level, that is high school, or the CFBC, Cape, you can get an award of $1,400 per month to pursue a 3-month training program in Microsoft Office applications, which would assist you as you make your transition to the world of work. Or if you do a 3-month training program in life skills development. So, you know, it's not just about persons who are going on to post-secondary education, it's also about people who are leaving school and making themselves available to the world of work. For persons who are attending the CFBC from Nevis, when we met with the students at the CFBC on Thursday of last week, the Prime Minister did give a commitment that we would explore that, in addition to the support that we have already been giving through the REACH program, we would seek to expand that support to further facilitate persons who are traveling to St. Kitts from Nevis. Since that meeting, I have had conversations with the SIDF persons, and they are giving that active consideration. We're going to see ways in which we are going to have to improve upon the program to ensure that nobody is excluded and that people who are looking for opportunities can gain them, because we do believe that we have a great platform for the support of our young people through education and training, and we will continue to seek ways and means of improving our support to young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. Don't be shy. The microphone doesn't bite. You can come up and ask the Prime Minister what you'd like to ask him, and Minister Carty and our Commissioner. Dr. Walwyn, and first of all, I'd like to just congratulate you on having, attained your PhD. Really very proud of you, and we know you're going to bring a lot to the force, as you have been doing in any case. Somebody has messaged, however, they're inquiring about our roads and road safety and the visibility of police on the roads. What can you tell us a little bit about what the police are doing in respect of the traffic element?
With regard to the traffic, we are doing some training right now, and we are selecting persons who will be out here visible. We just received our motorcycles. The last time we had a meeting, we spoke to the 16 motorcycles that were at the port. These motorcycles have now been put together last week, and in the first week of next month, we are bringing in a motorcycle instructor, police motorcycle instructor from our sister agency, the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Orlando, and he will be coming here to train persons to ride those motorcycles. We have also purchased some radar guns. These are used to determine the speed of the vehicles traveling on our highways, especially some of those taxi buses. And this instructor will also train and certify our police officers who are assigned to that unit to use these radar guns. These motorcycles were equipped with cigarette lighters, so the radar detectors can just plug right into the motorcycle and they can clock you when you're coming, and we will be issuing citations. We will be having zero tolerance on traffic. So if you get stopped, it's up to the police to write you or not. Don't call my office to complain, because I'm not going to listen to you. If you are out there violating the traffic laws, we are going to enforce them. And the public has been calling my office. This is not the first forum where people are concerned about the traffic. So I listen to the people, the one that asked for change. And I'm going to make a change out here in the way in which our motorists behave on the highways. We had a child got hit last week, just last week. And there's no excuse for some of the driving practices that I have seen in this federation. Also, those who are driving around with the tinted windows where you can't see, unless you have special permission, we're going to make you tear it out, or we're going to cite you for it. So it's a lot of changes going to be coming through within the next 30 days. So be ready for it, and as I like to say, get used to it.
Get used to it. Thank you, Dr. Warrior. And as he spoke of motorcyclists and keeping the roads safe, pulled up again sknpolice.com, clicked on traffic, and 10 common sense tips to make the roads safer for motorcyclists. I'm just loving this. So practical. Ma'am, thank you so much. Go right ahead.
Good evening. Mr. Prime Minister, I'm a 17 years breast cancer survivor. I have heard of all the medical doctors and the surgeon, but I haven't heard of anyone being specialized in oncology. And I would like so much for a couple of our people who would like to be doctors to specialize in oncology, especially, we women and men. It's everybody. It has no face and, I hope it will attack. And so it's very expensive going overseas to get treated. And if we have an oncologist here, it would help us a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think Dr. Wilson made a very strong appeal to the government to recognize that there is greater need for more specialists. And the specialist in treating cancer, he's called an oncologist. That's what our last speaker was referring to. We actually started the process of having an oncologist being part of the medical fraternity here in St. Kitts. Unfortunately, that person fell ill and at the moment is not available to pursue that particular initiative that we had started. So we have to be in search of another one, and I can assure you and give you the assurance tonight that we shall work on this continuously until we can find the appropriate solution. So our strong appeal, therefore, tonight, as I'm hearing it, is that we need to have cancer treatment specialists trained. And so if you know of anyone, any doctor, or anyone who is in training and has an interest in this particular area, let us know, because we might be able to facilitate the training of such a person, especially if the person at the moment only has an interest and may be qualified, but doesn't have the means of pursuing. The government is interested in working with such a person to ensure that there is appropriate training and that we would have our specialist oncologist here. At the moment, some people are receiving cancer treatment here on the ground, especially the treatment with medicine being given intravenously. There are some of our private doctors who are using that particular support system. But when we have to do radiation in particular, we need to have a differently trained person, even if that person is going to operate within the Caribbean region. As a regional oncologist, we still will need to have access to such. The government last year signed on to an agreement with the government of Antigua, and we have an arrangement that the new cancer treatment facility in Antigua at Mount St. John would provide services for our patients here in St. Kitts as well. The problem that we have is that the very same person who was already resident here in St. Kitts but was going to operate from Antigua until we were already here in St. Kitts for him, that's the person who has fallen ill. So I believe we might have had a setback in Antigua as well. But it is a matter that is of great concern to us because of the large number of our patients, our citizens, I should say, who are coming down with cancer. We are very much concerned about this because it is not every patient that has cancer where the cancer is terminal. It means that if you receive the appropriate treatment, as our own speaker said a moment ago, she is a 20-year 17 years of survival as a cancer patient. Let us give her a round of applause. And the point I am making is that we in this government will not give up on persons and give up on the opportunity to enhance their livelihoods, to improve the quality of their life simply because they have been diagnosed with cancer. We can assure you tonight, and I can assure you as a medical doctor, we shall fight the cancer with you until we win.
Go right ahead, sir. Thanks.
Good night, Mr. Prime Minister. Good night, Minister Carty, and good night, Commissioner Walwyn. Mr. Prime Minister, I have a passion for homes because I too, a number of years ago, I didn't have a home. And thank God for your government, I have a home today. Now, Mr. Prime Minister, a large portion of Sandy Pointers has received land. You have empowered them. And they are saying, Mr. Prime Minister, that they need assistance to build their homes. Another thing, Mr. Prime Minister, I went through the town of Sandy Point and there are still some pit toilet outside. And I want you to get rid of that once and for all, because this is 31 years of independence. I'm going to take a break because somebody else has things to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening to everyone.
Good evening. Come into us a little bit.
Good evening to everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
I'm glad when I heard Mr. Wilson talk about the roads. I Crab Hill, but especially Bouncing Hill. Mr. Prime Minister, I want you to tell us how soon we can get the road, especially at Bouncing Hill, looked after. Because we can't sit on the gallery, you can't hang out your clothes in peace for the dust. Especially when the vehicle and pass down, they have no mercy. No mercy at all. And every minute, not the rain, when public works, truck come around and they grade off the road, they throw them out, and then when they get loose again, that's it. So we really begging you, Mr. Prime Minister, please, to help us. Fix the road, please. We want concrete, we don't want no asphalt, no dirt, no more sand. No more sand, no more gravel. Please, Mr. Prime Minister, help us around Bouncing Hill, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night to everyone.
Good night.
I just want to say happy independence to everyone. 31 years is not 31 days. And too many dangers, toil, and snares we have already come. We was in the pitfall. The other day we was down in the valley with all the scandals and all the things that was going on. But thank God that we're on top of the mountain, looking down, 31 years of independence, St. Kitts-Nevis. And I say congratulations to everyone, especially our Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Denzel Douglas. And I just want to say, my sister, you're 17 years breast cancer. I am 10 years. And I am giving God thanks. But I just want to say that Dr. Errol Hobdy, she usually be in Nevis. That's my doctor you go to in St. Croix. And when I was diagnosed with this, I first asked Dr. Wilkinson about this oncology because I know it was very expensive. But what he said that it was very expensive to have one here. But in modern technology and everything I think, and I agree, that it's time for us to have somebody here. Because it's not easy. I just went off and had my check, and it is very expensive because you just cannot sit down and let it pass by. Because I see so many people come victim of this because after they got, and they just sit back and didn't do a follow-up. And then after this demon, it is a demon. It is. And it just creep up on you again because you have to get your bone scan, you have to get all of the different things you have to do. And the medication is very expensive. And I could remember when I went to the doctor overseas, I had to pay him $700 before he can see me. And I'm telling you, and when I could remember, because I felt bad. And when I paid that money, I didn't see the doctor yet. And the time they put all in my hand and everything, the doctor said to me, "You paid the money already?" I said, "Yes." And he eventually leave me there to go to make sure, I'm a black woman, make sure that I pay that money. It is not easy. And my heart my heart just goes out to anybody who come down with this deadly disease. But it's really not a death sentence, eh? We just got to make sure early prevention is the key.
Absolutely.
And we have all the facilities, we have the health centers. You can no longer say you don't have any money to do no mammogram. We got the health centers, the pap smears. Let us make use of them. It is very costly. And I tell people, I don't care how much money you have. When you see this thing happen, you don't have nothing at all. Nothing. So I just ask every one of us as women, please know yourself. Check your breasts. Do as much as you can. And if you feel something unusual, find your doctor. Because it is very, very expensive. And let us love one another. Let us care. Do not look at, because people used to look at me and scorn me. They used to look at me. And I remember I went into a setting, and when I was, do you feel when somebody looking at you? And they say, oh, I have one breast, and they went on, but I thank God for one, that I am alive with one. And I'm happy.
Thank you so much for that.
But Abdi usually goes to Nevis, I think it's every 3 months. And her I don't know the number in Nevis, but everybody has Magic Jack now. And her number is 1340-772-1551. So anybody wants to get in touch with her, you can call and she will tell you what time she will be in Nevis, which I feel glad for because I don't really have to be running here. I can just take the ferry and go over to Nevis. And I just give God thanks that our government is on the road to our success with the modern technology that is going on. And before I leave, Mr. Prime Minister, I have a concern that I have a niece here, lives here in Sandy Point, and she has 5 children. And where is she living is in a deplorable state. She still has the pit hole, is in a deplorable state, and have 5 children. The pit hole almost fill up. And, and where she lives, it hurts my heart. And I'm asking on her behalf that if she could get one of those houses that building down the road down there, I will be appreciated. 5 children, no mother, no father. And I will like Mr. Wilson, I will like you all to give her some recognition to help her out of it because the house is not good. She has to leave, but she don't have nowhere to go. So I will like some...
Well, we've heard, and I'm sure after the meeting is over, Dr. Wilson will have a chat with you, get some information, and we'll see how we can address that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate
your story.
Have a blessed one.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Prime Minister, Minister McCarthy, Commissioner. As the speaker before me mentioned about cancer and the lady there, my wife is also a cancer survivor for going on about 4 years now. What I want to speak about is the problems that she had when she came down with it in accessing treatment. Fully covered insurance, personal insurance, government insurance. But the problem is the insurance provider, national. They want to insist where you must go for your treatment. It is not correct. The individual must make that decision, not the insurance. They send her to Trinidad. Trinidad is all about money, nothing else. And this thing, I believe, should come to an end. They can decide where you must go for your treatment. It is not fair. We went to Trinidad, and the oncologist there, all he concerned is money. When my wife asked him, well, can't you come to St. Kitts to give me the treatment because it costs so much to come here? Oh, I want the biggest lobster. You have them? You're going to have to get them. I walk in with my family, you're going to have to put us up also. These are the things you're telling people. This is a sick individual with cancer. Have no concern to get another treatment. What should have been part of the whole regime, he did not give it to her. And then at the end of it, tell us, in order for her to get this, it going to cost her next 70,000 US. That had nothing to do with over the nearly 100,000 US that we already had to pay. You understand that? What I'm talking about? My wife ended up, we had the treatment there. And we had to encourage him and abuse him because you tell him, look, we already paid for the medication. So you're going to farm the fool around us. She talked to her local physician here, Dr. Kathleen Allen Ferdinand, who said she will be able to administer the treatment, and we insist that he send it. He sent it, and on two or three occasions, she was able to get the treatment get it done locally, just to save money. When we went to the States the following year, and she was able to get hooked up with an oncologist there through her sister who is in the medical field up there. And it was mentioned to him about the second course of treatment that the doctor here in Trinidad said would have cost 70,000 US. The oncologists in the States want to know why. Because that should have been part of the whole regiment, which he didn't do. And to get it by itself now, there's no known facts how good it will be on its own. Mm-hmm. So here's he want to give it, but there's nothing there to indicate how good it will be.
So you definitely had challenges.
Giving it by itself. Mm-hmm. As a result, he told us plain out, it don't make sense giving it to her. It will be just a waste of money, and we don't know what there's nothing to say what the outcome will be. So if we had followed him with his stupidness, sad to say, I don't know if she might have been deceased by now. You know? And, these are the challenges going to Trinidad. Sorry to say it. If any Trinidadian in here, sorry. Not a matter of want to hit you all, but that's the whole thing about in Trinidad. Trinidad is just money. I heard a lady spoke about Trinidad, where her husband was deceased with the same cancer because of Trinidad. So come, Prime Minister, please to talk to National Insurance and the people up there. Please. Nobody supposed to go, and you dictate where they must go for the treatment. People must be able to go for the treatment where they are comfortable. Mm-hmm. Not you just forcing something on people, but you have to go to the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. You have to go to Trinidad. When we pay money, they don't tell us that.
That's true.
Now to access it, they're going to tell us that. Please.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm not a medical practitioner, but I just, we're in a room full of doctors right now. It's amazing how many doctors are in this one room. We have the Minister of Agriculture who is here with us. Our Prime Minister, the leader of this federation, is a medical doctor himself. And nobody calls cancer on themselves. And I think every single one of us in this room knows someone who has cancer or who has lost their lives to cancer, who is a survivor of cancer. It just strikes home to me sitting here the importance of living healthy lifestyles, of eating well, of exercising, because it's been proven that your diet has a great deal to do with these sorts of things. So I'd urge every one of us just to do something small. Take a walk, eat more vegetables, have a fruit. Keep away from the fast food. Do something that's going to help you live a healthy lifestyle. Okay? Because I've lost my mother to cancer too, so I know how the people who have given their testimonies feel. Let's live healthy lifestyles. Let's do that for Independence 31. Ma'am, go ahead, please.
Hi, good evening. And I realize that the talk has, become about health and what's not. But to put it into perspective, we spoke about how many of our students are going off to study and about, the improvements we've made and such like that. But a lot of these persons, not necessarily in the medical field, but a lot of these persons that go off to study, they come back, and unfortunately they're not placed in areas where they can do the most good. One of the areas is that, that I'm looking at is primarily to do with food security. And you just spoke about eating a healthy diet. And the evidence is there that an organic, healthy diet does wonders in the prevention of cancer. And I'm looking around at my country, and within the last 10 years, the rate of cancer has skyrocketed, and it's a great concern. But the challenge I want to put out to the government is there are so many persons coming back. I think we have Stuart Versailles, who is in agriculture, and there are so many new methods that allow us to farm organically. And in St. Kitts, we have a saying that if you spit on the ground, it will grow. Food security should not be an issue in St. Kitts. I know you spoke about, Mr. Carty, about controlling the pesticides. Pesticides have been linked to being one of the major causes of cancer. And again, we have a gentleman in Victory. We know him locally by the name of Trenchtown. And he employs this farming practice that is all organic, and it takes up such little space. We have a lot of innovators in our society, and not because some of them don't have university degrees that doesn't mean that they can't contribute. So I'm thinking that we are sending persons to study all the time, but are we really considering, okay, is it just to have the numbers to say we have all these people with degrees, or is it to really solve issues? So I'm thinking, even under this Destination Sandy Point umbrella, if we can have something towards the development of organic, sustainable farming, using a lot of the older methods that we once employed as a nation, and really helping the people in the community, because a lot of us in here, I'm sure, they know what ramen is. Ramen is not food. Our people are eating daily non-foods. And again, this may not look like an issue that is pressing, but when you look at the national debt and you look at how much we are covering the cost of medical care, it's staggering. And I think, again, it comes back, Mr. Carty, to food security. It's not just about a belly full. It's about the quality of the food that our people are consuming. And I must say, in working with Dr. Narjan Wilson, and in some of the persons who've studied in Cuba, you see a difference in their approach. And we have been working together to actually do some workshops and educate persons on what to feed themselves. Because again, we're going after degrees in everything, and we don't have a basic knowledge of nutrition. So I'm encouraging you to really look at that side of it, and not just the numbers of we have a lot of doctors and engineers, but look at the practicality of these persons when they come back. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening to the members of the head table, and good evening to my fellow comrades of the Republic of Sandy Point. I want to touch on three main things this evening. One, from 80 to 95, and from 95 to 2010. One, scholarship in Sandy Point. Under the former administration, there was only 5 individuals get scholarship under the farm administration. For present, there's over 30 persons in Sandy Point receive scholarship from this present government. In my hands, I do always do some research, and as a student of history. When it comes to house build, from 80 to 95, Beverly Hill, do the ads for me. You have 30. Who receive them? Farm administration people. The alley housing, you have 23. The alley housing development, you have 10. And Chitap housing, you have 18. That give you a total of 81. House built by labor from 1995, as I said, up to 2010. You have Stadium View, 21. Viewpoint, 14. Saho, 32. Farms Housing, 54. Fig Tree, 36. That gave you a total of 157. When it comes to land distribution, from 80 to 95, Beverly Hill, you have 20. The Alley Housing, 20. The Alley Housing Development. When you have the Alley Housing and you have the Alley Housing Development. I was a postman for 14 years, so I know the areas. You have Treetop Housing, you have 20. You have Rumley Ground, 15, and Stadium View, 50. That gives you a total of 140. From the farm administration to the present now, you have Stadium View, 50. Viewpoint, 47. Farbill Heights, 185. Saho, yes, Farbill Heights. Farbill Heights doesn't include, speaking about lands, Farbill Heights and Pump. Saho, you have 100. Farms Housing, 100. Roland Hill, 80. Fitchy, 50. Pump Site, 15. Box Estate, 15. You also have land distributed in an area they call Longbottom, and also Longbottom Dribs. In Longbottom Drib, I went there this afternoon and I count exactly 50 house lots give out. So, Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to the People's Court, and I want to know how you get it done. Guilty or not guilty, you are sentenced to Church Street with hard labor for 25 more years. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I saw a better comparison of performance. Ma'am, 25 more years, hard labor. Labor. Ma'am, thank you so much for hanging on. Go right ahead.
Hi, good night to everybody. I have a question for the Commissioner, sir. I understand you, a police was supposed to be stationed here at the Charles E. Secondary School. How it's supposed to really be is that the person, the security, the police supposed to be here at the school for how long and how often? Okay, you hold on and then I will just finish all the questions. The next question I have, I don't know who will answer, but he had an emergency on Friday in Bastia, outside of Rams. A lady took in, was getting a stroke. And I reached in time because it was my friend's mother. I know a little about these like first aid stuff, so I try to help, rub up and, exercise her fingers and so. The person I met there who was helping her said they called the ambulance already. So I did, and I realized the ambulance is not coming. I tried to call 911. A gentleman answered and said, "You're the third person call. I don't pass on the message already. But I said, somebody down here, a lady getting a stroke, and we need attention. So we need the ambulance as soon as possible." You know what he said to me? Go tell your government that. The time was 11 minutes past 5 o'clock on Friday. I called 911. Then I asked someone for the number for JNF. They gave me the number and I called. They put me onto the emergency room and I explained to them the situation. And right there and then, 5 minutes after the ambulance came, somebody sabotaging. So you all need to look into that. You need to look to see who was working 11 minutes past 5 on Friday. So that is very serious when people talking about ambulance staying long. It's some people who walk in, it's who doing that. It's life we're talking about. You don't talk about no government. It's people life we're talking about. So we need to look into it, Mr. Prime Minister, or whoever is in the health department need to look into this because it's very, very serious. And the lady was in the hospital, I understand today. She came out of the hospital. Right? Another thing again, at Farms Housing Development, where I'm living, you have a problem with the road system and the draining system. The draining system clog up because they had like a soak away block inside there and it block up. This is thing that we have to look into because it's causing a lot of mosquitoes and what's not, So we need to look into it. And the road coming down need a draining system because when rain come, we have to walk in a lot of water to go down there. When I have to go to work, whatever, other people, we have to walk in a lot of water. Sometimes we shoes get all wet up, so you need to look into as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that as well.
I need to answer the question. Ma'am, with regard to the officer at the school, he's here and he's at the Virch House, is back and forth. He's here in the morning when the school starts, and he's supposed to be here when the last child leaves the school. That is the practice. If that is not the practice, then I need to look into it. The next thing is that during lunchtime, he should be visible. So if that's not happening...
That is not happening, sir, because I'm the security for down here, the female security, and it's not happening. It's like, maybe from the school open, I saw the officer maybe about 2 times or so. Like they come through and they leave. So I want to know how it's really supposed to be, because as a security, and I need a backup, who is
supposed to be going between the 2 schools. So if he's not here, he's supposed to be there. With regard to the backup, get with me outside and I'll talk to you about that. And you are the security here?
Yes, I am.
Have you had any island constable training?
Well, I had basic training.
Okay. Speak to me outside and we'll get you in one of those classes.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Now, no, don't leave yet. With respect to 911, you dialed 911.
Yes.
That's the number you call?
Yes.
Okay.
On Friday, and when I checked my phone, it was 11 minutes past 5 o'clock.
I have it written down.
I was a male who answered.
I have it written down, and trust me, I will find out tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Go right ahead. Come up. Thank you very much.
Good night to everybody at the table.
Thank you, Giles.
I'm a mother of 5, a single mother, and every time I pull out a form for a house, they don't come back. Name and file. Last month, before I take sick, it was a Monday, and I came out the Monday afternoon. I met a missed call on my phone. I called the number. You have an interview for a house. I said, no problem. I said, but I just came out the hospital, and when I get a little strong, I will come. And I went. The lady said, you're the young lady? I said, yes. She said, okay. Such and such and such. I said, yeah, answer the questions. And then she said, we're going to get back to you. But when she get back to me, I went back in the hospital again, and since that, they hear nothing up to now. So I want to know what's really going on. And I really, really need this house.
Thank you very much for that.
Good night, good night. I'd like to speak in regards to my friend there who spoke about his wife and insurance. Now, there are 2 words, assurance and insurance. Assurance means it's going to happen. It's assured I'm going to die one day. Insurance means in case of. If something happens, the insurance is there to protect you. I'd like to say and hope that this doesn't happen to anyone. If any of you in here don't have an insurance, please go and get one. But when you go and get an insurance, you need to be clear of what you're buying. You need to ask the questions of what you would like. For instance, the gentleman said he was told he can only go to Trinidad. Maybe that was the clause of that particular policy. So you have to ask the questions. Make sure that what you're buying is what you're going to want. Do not wait until at the end that these things happen. It's unfortunate, but everyone should get an insurance because the cost of life, there's no money can bring anybody back. So we need to make sure that what we're doing is precise. Okay? All right.
The microphone is still open, and so is the floor to anyone who would like to make a contribution to the conversations at this time. Remember, you can send your email to talkforprogress@gmail.com. And we have WhatsApp and text messaging as well going on at 762-3342. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Good night to everyone in this building. My question is to the Commissioner of Police. Sir, in this time of inflation and a security notice, I had an incident that took place about 2 weeks ago on my workplace. And I think that those foreign police that are here, that is not upholding the law without fear or favor, as they're supposed to uphold the law. Some of them, they smoke ganja. Sorry to say that is opening, and they is very dirty. They call them dirty cops. I would like you to look into this very seriously. I could recall one of those foreign police, I know that is around me and they're listening. I heard him say like this: he will want my prime minister go jail. And he going to be the first person to lock him up. I myself glad that the young people here in St. Kitts is joining the police force, that we don't have to go overseas to bring in those criminals. I was once married to one of them. Thank God I'm not no more. Mr. Prime Minister, though, before going on to the Prime Minister, I just want to finish my conversation with the Commissioner of Police. I want to commend Smitten, because some time ago a police officer broke into my car and stole my speaker out of my vehicle. I show the Commissioner of Police aware of what I'm talking about. And Smitten, he really dealt with me professional. And I just want to say that some of these police is not professional, because a lady was telling me outside there, she's afraid to come in and talk. She's afraid to come in and speak, so I want to say to her, talk for her. She said that she and a young lady was abusing. And the police brought the young lady in front of her in the police vehicle. And as soon as he talked to her, she realized that it was his fiancé. So, you know, these kind of things not supposed to be, because they make an oath and say they will uphold the law with fear and favor, and there is not. So, you know, we need to give some of those police officers, especially the overseas police officers, some training, proper training, because they are dirty cops, so sorry to call them that.
I'm sure they're the exception rather than the rule, and I'm sure Dr. Walwyn will
anyhow,
say the same.
Prime Minister, last time, this is for the Prime Minister, I spoke something over Newtown by the community center and said that I scared for my life, not really that. And I realized that they're dragging my name on voices every day. But I just want to say to the entire federation that my name is Marshall Lewis Douglas, and I don't afraid nobody. I am 20 women in one. I just was talking about the security purpose, and they're making it a political issue. I just want to make myself clear tonight that I said that I'm living in Sandy Point, and I used to live in Virchilds with my fiancé for years. And I have been voting there, and I want to know what security you have for me and other people who will be going there to vote. That's all I said, and they're making it a big issue. Sir, I know election around the corner, Mr. Prime Minister, and I'm glad you ain't paying a double salary today, because a lot of people was looking for it. A lot of them was looking for it, and I'm glad you ain't paid it. Hold the double salary until December, because I know election is near. Probably January, February. Hold it, don't pay it now. So, the lighting in back behind me there by the project, I need some lighting, because I'm ready for election. I'm feeling the election fever in me, and I just want lights to the back. That when I go morning, I come back night, nobody do me nothing. So Dr. Nigel Wilson, we need the lights to the back of me. You know where I'm coming from. That when I go, I have proper security. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I will be looking out for the police them to attack me. Because of
nobody's going to attack you. Not a soul troubling you. Not a soul troubling you.
Not because the Prime Minister is my cousin, so.
Not a soul. Even worse. But Mr. Prime Minister, you've met your match. They say you're 10 in 1 and she's 20.
I want to respond to you.
I'm sure they're the exception rather than the rule. And this person in Dr. Walwyn, I know he has zero tolerance for that sort of thing. So if there are any of them in there, he's going to get them out of there very shortly. You're going to, you want to respond to that? Go right ahead.
Okay. All jokes aside, she raised some serious concerns. First, I need to reiterate, crime is down in the Federation over the period I've been here, the last 36 months, 39.1%. Crime has been going down every month since I've been here over the last 36 months. I don't have to sit here and say it, you can feel it yourself. Some people are still out there trying to make mischief, and they're saying that I'm hiding the stats, etc. But if you go to the police Facebook, yes, we are using social media. Every month we place the crime stats on the Facebook. Every day that we have crime in St. Kitts or we arrest anybody, the next day their picture and why they are arrested is on the Facebook. So when you commit a crime in St. Kitts, it's not just us Kittitians and Nevisians who know about you. Everybody around the world will see you. So your auntie up in Canada, she will see what you're doing in St. Kitts the next day. Now, with regard to recruitment, we have local people who are applying for the police force. The last time that we had this meeting in St. Peter's, we put out a call for young men and women to apply for the police force. We just swore in 12 new police officers last week. Of those 12 that we swore in, every single one is from St. Kitts and Nevis. We are not opposed to swearing in those who grew up among us here in St. Kitts. If they've been here 4 or 5 years and went to school with our children, then they have a vested interest in protecting our country. But the last set that we swore in, they were 100% Kittitian-Nevisian. Now, the citizens' confidence in the police force is growing. And I like this forum because people bring out things that I might not know, and it gives me a chance to correct. With regard to quote-unquote foreign police officers, I know the connection based on the comments made. However, the public within the Federation need to know that I don't make joke, and I take this police force very seriously. And I hold people accountable, so much so that this government is now spending money to get a room at the police station fixed up for our internal affairs department. We just had the members of the United States Department of Justice under a program called ICITAP. They're a program that they go to Central and South America and the Caribbean, and St. Kitts is one of the first places in the Eastern Caribbean where we have had a course in audits and internal affairs for the police force. Every complaint that you make against a police officer is investigated. This unit, that's what they do. So even though I know the relationship between the comments, that will also be investigated. That's another reason why I asked the young lady if she called 911. Because every complaint, and you need to understand this as a public, you don't have to give your name when you call in to make a complaint on a police officer. If anybody is asking you for your name and you don't want to give it, hang up and call and ask to speak to a supervisor. If they don't want to take your report because you don't want to give your name, you need to WhatsApp me, you need to tweet me, you need to email me, because I will look into your complaint. We also do audits on the police department and the equipment. So if we have police out here abusing property and you tell us about it, we will go look into it. We just found some nasty stuff in traffic a few weeks ago. And this forum is something that I like to attend because I hear things here that I will not hear in my office. It's not everybody who wants the boss to know everything, but I know that you don't have an interest in them. You have an interest in the safety and security of this federation, and I encourage you, if you don't want to talk to someone in the police force, call me, 662-2145. I heard somebody calling the number out. I'm also online at cgwalwin@gmail.com. Y'all might not be aware of this. I'm going to tell you. The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, as simple as we may look, we stand tall in the Eastern Caribbean. We are about to build a new police training school. And one of the reasons why we are having that is because we are going to be doing regional training. In other words, police from other countries, even the RSS, will be coming here to train. St. Kitts has grown by leaps and bounds, and we are growing even higher. We have the first firearms investigation unit, and Mr. Dolphin back there, he's retired. His unit ran that, still runs it, even though he's retired. And every firearm that we get in this country is run through his unit. And if that gun was purchased in America within the last 2 years, in America, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Division, they go out and they knock on the door of the person who bought that gun in America and ask them, where is the gun? Now, in America, it's against the law to lie to the federal agents. So you have two choices. You can tell them where you sent the gun, or you can go to federal prison for 7 years. As a result of someone not wanting to go to prison, we had between 2 and 4 cases opened in Miami, and it was a person that was not born here was sending guns here, so America dealing with them. We have made a lot of strides here in this federation. We have the Special Victims Unit. One of the things I hate as a parent is grown men messing with little girls. And we have had instances here where even one police officer is now looking at 24 years in prison because I don't play when it comes to molesting children. I have 4 daughters. One's 29, the youngest is 19. St. Kitts has the age of consent at 16, but we're having 14-year-old children pregnant. Some of you parents out there listening to me need to stop playing games with your children. You need to stop making up cases, and you need to let the nasty men go to jail. I have a video in my phone right now, and I'm looking for that woman that's molesting a little boy. He looks no more than 12. And as soon as I identify you, ma'am, wherever you are in St. Kitts or Nevis, I'm going to make sure you stay in 1840. I'm telling y'all right now, things have to change in this federation, but only you, the community, can change it. And while I'm talking about molestation, we as a federation, we need to understand that little girls are not the only ones who get molested. Little boys are also molested, and little boys are molested more than little girls. And we need to stop calling them punks because they're reporting to us what happened. It is not their fault. And we need to emphasize this with our children. It is not your fault. If someone did something to you that was not authorized, you need to come and tell me, which is the parent, or you need to tell another person, the teacher or whomever, and that person needs to bring it to the police because we are going to investigate. We had 2 very disturbing events like this happen. One was in Bastia and one was out here in the country. The first one was a little child about 4 years old told the mother that the boyfriend was licking her when he gave her a shower. We arrested the man, and the woman came back and asked us to drop the charge. And I told them, I'm not dropping anything. I guess by now y'all know who I am. We're going to take it to court and let the court decide. We had another incident out here where a young lady reported, a 14-year reported to her grandmother, and she asked her if she liked it. This is wrong. And it was her uncle doing it. This is wrong. This is wrong. We need to stop this in this federation. It is not a culture, it is a crime. We need to lock up everybody that's doing that. Stop it, because you're messing up your children, especially your girl children. You're going to have issues in marriage. All right? We can't continue this, so let us stop it. One in every four young women has either been molested or will be molested. Where will we stop? It stops when we come forward and start talking. 1 in every 6 boys is molested. So let's go ahead and stop that. I want to tell you again, you asked the question about patrolling your neighborhoods. You will see a difference. We have 10 cars that are on the way here from overseas to the Federation. These 10 are coming, and we have a promise of 6 more. The Prime Minister is in charge of the anti-crime unit. The anti-crime unit has purchased the 16 motorcycles. They just put them together last Friday. They're sitting at the police station. All we have to do is get them registered, and then we'll start training the officers. Another thing about opportunity, I hear everybody bragging about going to be doctors and stuff like that. Let me brag a little bit. We have police officers who are training overseas to come back and lead this police force. I'm not going to be here forever. My wife is sitting in the front seat, not Dr. Wilson, behind Dr. Wilson. My wife is sitting back there, and she would like to have her husband back home. She gave me to you for 3 years, and because of what I have seen in this federation and the changes that we have made, and because somebody was very persuasive, my family sat down and they decided to let me stay some more. So we are going to work with you in helping to maintain the safety and security of this federation. But we have officers in the United States right now that's training. We have two officers in Taiwan that's training. And we have an officer right here who's studying internet security. And he's being trained through DeVry University. And the $40,000 scholarship does not cost the government one penny. So we do have opportunities within the police force. We have quite a few of your children who were recruited the last time. They had degrees, and now we have children again. I'm sorry, young people. I'm old. So young people who are coming to us again with degrees. One of the benefits of having a college here is that I have spoken with Dr. Simon? No, Dr. Simons in the VI. Yes, we are looking at a program where our officers don't have to leave the country to go away. They can study for criminal justice through the USVI and CFB. And quite recently, Senator Carty and I, we had a guest here that he's the director, the chief financial officer for University of Phoenix, and he's interested in meeting with Senator Carty in setting something up for the St. Kitts Police. So it's not all the doctors in the front that have the educated people. The police force has some now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Walwyn. And we'd like to thank your wife and your family for loaning us your services and skills a little bit longer. Sir, go right ahead, please.
Good evening, Mr. Prime Minister, Commissioner, and Minister. I've been home for about 8-9 years, but I was pretty impressed with what I saw when I came back. My name, everybody, my name is, they call me the Mighty Ali. I heard the Prime Minister speaking about the high school when they throw back the doors from Charles Mills High School. I travel the Caribbean a whole lot. I like to travel. And there are certain places in the Caribbean, where to go to high school, you have to sit a certain kind of common entrance. I think that's what they call it in a lot of these places. 1966, I was a 10-year-old student. The minister there and his mother used to be in class together. In 1966, we started having free secondary education right here in Sandy Point and in other parts of the Federation. It was not in the 70s. I heard the Prime Minister saying it was 1966. And something I boast about in St. Thomas and, you know, where I live and what's that. Another thing, the minister was speaking about agriculture, and I know they call this aquaculture, dealing with the fishes and things. I didn't hear him mention anything. When I was a little boy growing up in Sandy Point, a whole lot of fishing boat, a whole lot of fishermen used to be in Palm Bay. I come back, I go down there, you scarcely see a boat, fishermen around. I would like to know if, you know, that would be addressed, you know, in helping young people get into that. I like the market scene. I passed through the market today. I saw the buildings that were started doing there. Very impressed with that also. But definitely with the fishing, I would really like to know if something would be done. Another thing, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't know if it would be feasible or not for they to build back the dock in Palm Bay. I always think about that, you know. I really don't know. That's about it.
For that contribution, we really appreciate it, and that you've come home and you've been able to see a tangible and visible difference around St. Kitts and Nevis. We've received a message via WhatsApp, and this person is asking if it is indeed true that there are individuals in some institutions around the country working without work permits. Mr. Prime Minister, is this the case?
Thank you, Ebony, for this opportunity. Let me commend the young man who just spoke, because I think that we keep making the statement that if persons have been away for quite a while and had not been returning home, if they were to return today, they probably would need a guide to take them to some communities because of how they have been transformed. The part of Destination Sandy Point envisages the rebuilding of the pier in Palm Bay here in Sandy Point. And so his thought and what appears to be his desire to have that period of Sandy Point return as part of the redevelopment of Sandy Point is definitely being considered seriously. The question that came in on the WhatsApp that there might be several expats, persons from outside, who are working at some of our institutions, hotels, etc. Although at the moment it may appear to be so, it is really one or two situations where the Labor Department is attempting to resolve ongoing issues with those establishments that would have brought in workers from outside and are at the moment working, but their work permit issues are being worked on. Sounds a little circuitous in the way I have just said it. But the Labor Department has a number of cases before it where it has been reported that persons who are working from outside should not be working because the task that they are pursuing, the services that they are providing, are not necessarily specialized managerial services but services that can be done by local persons. That is a very delicate situation, because where you would have had a large establishment in St. Kitts-Nevis, one of the agreements that would have accommodated the investment in that particular facility would always speak to work permits being allowed after processing for certain skilled, specialized workers who may not be found here in the country. And so that person seems to be aware of some of the ongoing issues, where the management and the owners of the establishment would be saying that, well, these are skilled persons who have been sent maybe from their parent company, which is abroad, to work here in one of the companies in St. Kitts. But other workers may be saying, local workers may be saying, but what they're doing we can do. And this controversy has been ongoing for some time. I just want to give assurance that the Labor Department is working to resolve this matter amicably. And the only way it can be done is to ask for the appropriate investigations to be carried out, where you examine the credentials of the person who are subject to this kind of scrutiny, subjected to this kind of scrutiny, and see exactly what they are doing on the job and make a decision as to whether the person is really needed. And so these are matters which are being resolved.
Thank you. We have two more messages that came in as well. One is from a resident, a citizen, as a matter of fact, living abroad, and they're asking on behalf of Kittitians and divisions the world over whether or not they'll be welcome to come home and vote when that day is called eventually.
Well, I think it's very clear that the Constitution and the related election laws allow persons who are resident abroad but who have been registered appropriately to vote. And Marsha, a moment ago, made reference to a misunderstanding that might have emanated from her statement at the last conversation meetings in East Bastille. What she was saying is that some people may attempt to intimidate voters. But we have always said that this is a free country, and people who are registered to vote, they will vote. I am the Minister of National Security, so to speak, and I will mobilize the relative forces to ensure that people's right to vote is protected. So I want to say to our citizens, you have no fear. There are some who believe that they can attempt to win an election by intimidation and fear. Well, who is afraid of that? And so you can be assured that once you are registered to vote, I don't care where you're registered, as long as you are registered to vote, not one man can stop you from voting you.
So that's been answered very definitively. the WhatsApp fever is striking us now. I have somebody here who is asking about the boundaries, and they're wondering what the situation is going to be as we're approaching an election, as the opposition seems to be doing everything to stop movements going forward in terms of making the necessary changes. So let me just throw out a few of them, if you don't mind. There is also somebody else who is concerned in the very unlikely event of a change of government. They'd like, I'm just saying what they ask. In the very unlikely event of a change of government. The person is saying here, look, we've seen what's happened in some places when governments change. Is there anything that your administration can do to ensure that victimization does not occur or is as minimal as possible should there be a change in government? And they're asking about this because they're concerned about their job security. That's a concern they have there. And somebody else here is saying, Mr. Prime Minister, PEP is a blessing. I started working at a certain place on PEP, and now I'm getting triple what I used to get when I was on PEP now that I'm full-time. The person continues, I have my reasons to thank the Prime Minister for the program, but he says, hopes it lasts forever, but in the event it doesn't, he knows that it has been a blessing, and he has a lot of love coming from the people in constituency number 1. Okay, so that's just some of what's going on there on WhatsApp right now. Would you like to address any of these things first, Mr. PM, before we go back to the floor?
Yes, I think I should try to address at least 2 of these. The matter of the boundaries, as you know, the Boundaries Commission has resumed its work. At our last conversation in East Bastia, we indicated exactly where we were. The court ruling has set out basically the guidelines that should be followed for consultation if that is the way the Commission intends to go. And the Commission has, since that judgment has been issued, that court ruling has been issued, has resumed its work, naturally being more aware after being guided by the court as to exactly how it should conduct itself according to the Constitution and according to the existing laws, and also now according to the ruling of the court. So the boundaries matter, it is an ongoing matter. What also is going to happen, or is happening, I'm told, is that the technical people are being mobilized so that there will be clear indication as to what is the present situation with regard to the numbers. Because remember, the basis on which the boundaries realignment is taking place is that the Constitution says there should be as near equal as possible the number of residents in each constituency in order to bring fairness to the work that each representative has to do when he would have been elected and is serving the constituency. So the boundaries matter continues to be a live matter. Mention has been made of change of government. I believe that the best way to ensure that there's no victimization is not to change the government. Because I think by now, every single citizen in this country is aware of what has happened in the case of Nevis since the government was changed. Open, naked victimization. And we are saying that in today's world, that cannot be right. Irrespective of the party that you support and vote for. You should be able to live. And it is not right. And that is why we are saying here on this particular question from this person who has WhatsApped us that the way to ensure there's no victimization is not to change the government. You know why I say that? Apart from what you're seeing in Nevis, Dwyer Rastafan in one of his articles made it clear that they are going to sweep the house clean after they would have won. And specific mention was made even of the Governor General. In other words, they have signaled that even the Governor General, His Excellency, is not secured in his job because he will be removed after the elections are called and they were to win. And so the best way to avoid confusion is to make sure that there is a continuation of the party in government, especially since the party is doing a whole heap of good. And so that is important. The matter of the PEP, that is what we are about. We said that PEP was going to be the training ground for our people. They said all kinds of things. PEP is only there for 6 months. Thank God, PEP is almost there now for 20 months. Nearly 24 months. December of 2012. You know how far we've been over 2014 will be. Nearly 24 months and PEP still going strong. And so this person is right. What we will do is use the PEP to train people. The skills are needed. We are short of skills. We don't want people to come from all the way outside, from all Timbuktu, and come and take our jobs because our people are not skilled. And so the government has a vision. He said, let us train our people now so that they would be the first to get the skilled jobs here in St. Kitts-Nevis. And those jokers talking about is only for 6 months. 6 months what? 6 months me foot.
And the young lady, it was actually a young lady, she messaged you back and said, thank you so much for answering her question about the victimization bit. She's voting for the right side on that eventful day, and she says to tell you, I love you. She says to
Darling, I love you too.
Oh, there you go. She's on the job listening. Sir, go right ahead, and then
Yes.
I have another message to share.
Mr. PM, this PEP thing ain't just that. Remember 95, when you win the election, there's so many officers who have chief and custom officers who started in the program. Many people for years coming by, passed by straight, been passing out from this. Yes, program, PEP program, where we be, all later program, labor program there be. This for the Prime Minister and the Commissioner. I could remember 2010 election at the New Recreation Ground. A lady came by the labor tent, because only we had a tent, to get her name. She wasn't voting for us, but she see a tent. She see a group of people. And she came to us to get her name. And because she came to us to get her name, when I told her, because she asked me for Sean, I tell her, look, I want to say, well, Sean ain't here. May see him. Anyway, she gets your name, she name on the paper. I say, I can go in the line. Well, I don't know, the bad crew step in front of her. Somebody step in front of her. They shove her down. They shove her down. And they just, because they think they're voting for Labour. I feel so bad. I went back to the old, it's an aged woman, about 50-something years. I ain't know the woman until now. I went back to the lady and I take her out the court. I said, hold on to when Sean come. When I did here, on my tent, I said, Sean, and I went to the hill and I tell Sean about it. Sean said, where she is? I said, see her over by labor tent. But she asked for you. When Sean went to the lady, you know where the lady and put her? Up front. The same man who shabba down and woman them who want to bang up, the little girl them, who want to bang up, they put her up in front of them. And they came to the back for she to vote for Sean. And the officers up there ain't do one thing. The officers up and the pavilion at the time when they shabba down and push her back, and the officers ain't do one thing. This election, I need serious officers at the polling station. I could remember at the by school when I want to bang my representative. When I want to bang Miss Martin. I could remember that good. I need serious police at the new equation going this election. Please. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I have another question that's come in here, and I'm directing this one to the Honorable Prime Minister. The individual is asking for a very simple explanation of what actually occurred in Parliament this morning, because the person says it seems as though the same opposition that castigated government for the land for debt swap has now come on board with the concept.
Right, this is a very important question, because I understand that after the Parliament ended today, there has been a whole heap of lies and propaganda that has been spread. On Monday, while we were in Cabinet, I received a call from the chairman of the National Bank that there was need for urgent consultation with me. I am the Minister of Finance, and I asked for a meeting to be called based on the matter that was before me, so that we could better understand and make a decision on the matter. The matter was that the Treasurer and the Acting Financial Secretary of Nevis, Mr. Dorr, had made contact with the bank, asking if the bank could provide a facility of $100 million. Sorry, $1 million. $1 million. Sorry about that. That would allow the Nevis Island administration to be able to pay its salaries and wages for workers today, because payday was due tomorrow. It had to be deposited into the accounts today in order for the salaries to be paid by tomorrow. Now, listen please, be very quiet. The matter was important to me, because you will recall a few months ago when the Nevis Island administration was unable to pay its public servants, instead of accepting the responsibility to blame me as the Minister of Finance, the National Bank, and the federal government. Now, why was the chairman contacting me? If the Nevis Island administration needed to have money in order to be able to pay its salaries because it was short of cash to do it, it meant that it had to extend its overdraft which was already at its full limit and beyond. Plus, if no security is being provided, according to the Finance Act, the federal government has to become involved in providing a guarantee so that the bank would not in any way violate any of its responsibilities that it works, any of the regulations that it works within. And so I had a brief discussion with the members of the cabinet, and we decided, yes, we should provide the support to the bank. We should provide the support to the civil servants in Nevis and authorize the bank to pay the additional $1 million that was being requested, but that we needed to go to Parliament in order to provide that guarantee according to law. And so we quickly got together on Monday, late Monday afternoon. We were able to make contact with the Speaker, with the Clerk of the House, with the relevant persons in the legal department, and had them prepare the necessary resolution and also the appropriate notice that would allow the emergency meeting to take place. And so the meeting was scheduled first thing today, since this was late on Monday and yesterday was a holiday. Today was the first working day after the holiday, and we had to do it by midday today in order for the bank to be able to advance the money and to be placed into people's accounts, for them not to go to their accounts tonight and realize that there's no salary. This morning, my financial secretary made contact with the bank and with the financial secretary in Nevis and indicated that the federal government was mindful to provide the $1 million support guarantee, but that it was going to take place in the Parliament today. At no time was the financial secretary informed that the money was no longer needed. Neither was the bank informed. This morning, however, before I went into the Parliament, I said, let me reach Premier Amory to find out what the situation was and to inform him that the appropriate resolution to provide that financial support was going to be forthcoming as the matter was down for the Parliament today. And so after some discussions and consultations with Mr. Dorr, we were informed, I was informed, that they were able, from their collection of revenue on Monday, they were able to meet the shortfall of the $1 million which they needed, and as a result, it was not necessary to have the bank advance the $1 million in order to ensure that salaries and wages and pensions were being paid to civil servants. In Nevis, that is. Now, this was important because, as I said, the federal government was blamed the last time when the Nevis Island administration could not pay its civil servants. This time around, I think that the federal government acted magnanimously by making sure that we would do everything according to law to assist the Nevis Island administration. For them now to be saying, oh, they ain't asked the government for no money, so the government didn't have any right to go to the Parliament, is foolishness. If you ask the bank for money, and the bank knows it has to be guaranteed by the federal government, then you're asking the federal government for money indirectly. Simple as that. And so I wanted to make that absolutely clear. And you know why? What goes around comes around. That's all I will say for now.
Thank you for that explanation of what took place this morning. Minister Carty has some comments that you'd like to make?
Yes. Thank you very much, Chairperson Ebony. This should probably be my last comment for the evening. I want to address two issues. But before I do so, I think it was quite despicable to, in fact, shameless and hypocritical to have heard the likes of Dwyer Astefan some time ago seeking to cast aspersions on the kind of leadership that Dr. C.G. Wallman has brought to the police force, and seeming to want to open a debate about whether Dr. Wallman's contract with the government should be renewed. I just want to remind the people of St. Kitts-Nevis that Dwyer Astefan has no real interest in the people of this country. He has no interest in peace and security, and that could have been the only basic motivation for the comments he made, which were quite despicable in my view. It was under Dwyer Astefan, you would recall, when he took the reins of the Ministry of National Security in 2004, that crime began to spiral out of control. Dwyer Astefan has a history of undermining the very police officers that he was the minister for, and he sought to misdirect the high command of the defense force when he was the minister responsible. It was on the Dwyer Astefan that prisoners who were convicted of high crimes were taken out of prison and taken to the Prime Minister's gala to dine, and so on. So I think that really it is not only quite out of place, it is quite disingenuous and quite despicable and hypocritical that people like Dwyer Astefan would want to cast aspersions on the tenure of the present Commissioner of Police. Commissioner, we support you very highly. We have seen the fruits of your work and leadership. And as the old people say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We've felt your leadership, we've seen it, and our communities are more secure for your work and for your diligence. I just want to quickly follow up on a question or comment that was made by Siobhan a while ago, well, quite some time ago. That is to do with the organic agriculture production. This is something that we're pushing a lot. You made a comment about training. We believe in training because we believe that training is really the aggregation of experiences of people across the entire world. We believe that if you're a farmer, you can be a better farmer if you're better trained. And the only way in which we can seek to properly upscale agricultural production, whether it be organic agriculture or non-organic agriculture, is to really ensure that we have more people better trained. And as we seek to develop the country, we need people who are researchers to help us to put together better ideas for the development of every sector, including the agriculture sector. So I hope that we have no issues with my talking about the need for people to be properly trained. Some of the challenges we have in, for example, the tourism sector, the hotel sector, is because a lot of people, although they have the requisite experience, the standard that is used across the entire world for ascertaining what people are able to do is the piece of paper. You don't walk into a man's office and say, well, I have experience, but I don't have a paper. It becomes difficult to measure if you can really take what he's saying. And so we are asking people to make sure that they get the piece of paper to back their qualification so that you can contend for those top positions that will become open as we seek to move the Kitchen Hill project, the Heldens Estate project, the Southeast Peninsula projects forward. We need our people to be well trained so that they can compete on even footing with those people. those are the comments I want to make right now, just to say that Destination Sandy Point fits very well with our plans for the development of the tourism sector and the agricultural sector, both the crop farming and the animal raising. Thank you so much.
And on that note, I'd like to thank the members of the head table, Senator Nigel Carty, Dr. Walwyn, Commissioner of Police, and certainly our very own Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, for being here with us this evening. Thank the people who viewed tonight on COPM and YouTube, you for turning out, all those who sent their text messages, WhatsApp messages. Thank you so much. You make Conversations for Progress the success that it is, and I feel at the end of each meeting that we've really accomplished something. There are refreshments for you at the back of the hall, so please refresh yourself, and we're encouraging everybody, get home safely, be safe on the road. And I have it right here. And we'd like to tell you as well that the Charles E. Mills Secondary School is having a fundraiser boat ride on the 19th of September. It just costs $100. That's not much. And it's for the school. EK will be there. There's going to be lots of food and drinks. So support the Charles E. Mills Secondary School. Purchase a ticket and go out to the boat ride. Have some fun. Thank you so much for coming to Conversations. Have a wonderful night.